Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and for this review we are looking at the Toysrus exclusive Marvel Legends 2-pack of Spider-Man and Mary Jane, which is a really nice set. I know a lot of people have been wanting a Mary Jane figure for ages. I'm not sure this is the look they wanted, but it's still a pretty solid figure. And this is the new Spider-Man look where he's got the glowing emblem and the glowing eyes. He's got some interchangeable hands and stuff, so it's a pretty cool 2-pack despite most of it being reused, at least for Spider-Man. So let's go ahead and take him off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, so let's start with Spider-Man. We're going to go ahead and just put them both in the one video to save you guys a little bit of time. I know I probably should do 2 separate videos in order to have more content, but I think you guys will be okay with this. So Spider-Man, mostly reused parts, maybe entirely, not counting the head. I'm not 100% certain. Before I even get into it, I just want to talk about this real quick. I don't have mine to check since all my stuff's not with me. This head looks slightly different than the Superior Spider-Man head. I know some people are saying it's the same, some people are saying it's different. I'm not seeing some of the molding marks that I saw on that head, but it could just be, you know, like a new mold of the same head, so it might have slightly different marks. I can't be positive, but either way, it does look really nice on this body, so no big deal there. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. He stands at about 6 1/4 inches tall, which makes him just about, almost exactly 16 centimeters. Let's go ahead and do the height for Mary Jane. She stands just about 16 centimeters, which makes her just about 6 1/4, maybe a little bit taller than 6 1/4 inches. So let's see how they look next to each other. Almost exactly the same height. And if you just pose them a tiny little bit, that's going to affect that. So they're very, very close to the same height. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You guys can tell me if that's accurate or not. I don't know in this particular version of Spider-Man how big he's supposed to be officially, but it's not like it's a big deal if she's supposed to be a little bit shorter, because as soon as you pose him, you're not going to be able to tell. So very good looking figures in general. Let's go ahead and talk about this guy first. He does have some interchangeable hands and an interchangeable head. So we have the masked head, which may or may not be the Superior Spider-Man repainted. It does look very nice. The shading's definitely good enough, and the web lines are painted very cleanly. He also has the unmasked Peter Parker head, which is pretty good. And it's worth noting that the hair is actually a separate piece, so there's no worries about clean paint. It's going to be very clean because it's separate molded pieces. So that's awesome. As for the hands, we have 2 fist hands, we have 2 web-slinging hands, and then we have 2 open wall-crawling hands, or just style pose hands. So that is pretty nice. He's got everything he needs. The only thing that would be better is probably like an actual web accessory, but otherwise he's got everything you need, so that's really cool. Now as far as the paint on this guy goes, or molded plastic, he's got the nice light blue, which I think looks absolutely fantastic. It looks really, really good. Just the contrast, that's a subjective thing. Of course, you might not care for the light blue, but I love it, so I like that. And I like the fact that they outlined all of the red with a clean black line. And almost everywhere on the body, it's very, very clean. It looks great, and it provides even more contrast as you're going from the blue to the red. It looks just fantastic. You can see here, it's not absolutely perfect. There's a little bit of red sticking out behind the black, but it's okay. It's also true for the web lines that they're almost all completely clean and well done. There's really no serious issues. The red on the torso is painted. I believe it's painted everywhere except for the hands and feet. That seems to be the case. Can't be 100% positive. I just opened this guy out of the package, but that's what it looks like. Probably the head also is molded. But either way, you can't tell. It all looks very clean. It looks very good. So I'm very happy about that. One issue I do have is that the glowing on the chest, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that. It's definitely not bad. It has the fading effect that they wanted, and the spider is nice and clean. But when you're spraying greenish teal paint over red, and it's supposed to look like a glow, the red and green kind of interact funny, but it definitely doesn't look bad, and that if you're not getting up too close or anything, it'll be okay. And so I'm okay with it. There's really no better way to do it, so that's fine. It's all right. Let's run the articulation. Even though we've seen this before, pretty much the head can lean back pretty far. It leans forward pretty far, and of course it can rotate. It's very stiff, but it can rotate and do a little bit of leaning side to side. So you really shouldn't have too many problems posing the head on this guy. For the shoulder, we have a really nice butterfly joint that works well, and they did a good job of painting it through, so I like that. That's pretty cool. And then we have the ball hinge on top of that, which does go up all the way, no problem at all. I mean, not all the way, but better than horizontal, so that's really good. Full rotation, bicep swivel, everything is pretty much standard on this guy, no big deal. Double jointed elbow works nicely. Would have been nice to see a little bit of blue paint on there. Wouldn't have cost him too much, but They decided not to do that, but the elbow does work nicely. And then, of course, the wrists have a swivel and a hinge, so that's all very nice. The ab crunch works okay. It doesn't look great when you take it all the way back, and there's kind of a gappy thing going on here, but it is painted all the way through. And then when you lean them all the way forward, of course, there's nothing to worry about on the back. So it functions nicely, so I'm okay with that. Waist twist is fine. For the hips, they don't go out too far to this side. We've seen this before, but they probably go out far enough. I mean, for Spider-Man, it's always better to have more, but I guess this is okay. Bringing the legs forward, way more than enough, so that's a good thing. And then, of course, we have our thigh swivels. Let's hope they don't break. I know this mold has had issues, but I think that was more along the lines of the plastic rather than the mold. So that the thighs work fine. Double jointed knees work nicely. No issues there. Full 180. And the paint is mostly carried through. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but at least it is there, so it looks a little bit better than having just blue. And then for the ankles, we have the full range. It goes all the way back, all the way forward, and we have our pretty nice ankle rocker. So it's a very, very nice figure. Yeah, some people might not like the mold in particular, but it's definitely not bad. And I think it looks even better on this particular version with the different web pattern and everything. I think it looks really nice. So I think you guys are probably going to really like this. I know I do. So let's go ahead and move on to Mary Jane. As far as accessories, she only has her purse, which is not bad. It has some paint work on it for the buckles and snap, but it's pretty basic. As far as the figure goes, I'm pretty sure we haven't had a figure with these jeans before, or with these pants. I don't think, I can't think of anything, so I don't think it's reused. And they're sculpted really nicely. We have a lot of wrinkles around the knees, all of the appropriate sculpt work around the belt area and pockets and things. The pockets are definitely a little iffy. It's not the best looking thing there, but that's only because they had to fit the hips inside the articulation, so that's okay. And then for the ankle area, it is just sculpted and then painted, but I think it works okay. It's definitely good enough. She does kind of have fat ankles, and since they reused these feet that we've seen before, her feet are kind of big, and it looks a little weird the way the shoes are just painted and sculpted, and the whole combination is not ideal, but it's definitely probably good enough. And then up here, we have the molded skin tone for the arms, painted for the chest, just the part that's peeking out around the shirt, but it's not terrible. It's not the same color, but it's okay. And then for the head, we have a decent paint job for the eyes and eyebrows. I think that's okay. The mouth is painted okay, and she does have freckles, but I feel like those freckles are a little bit big. Generally, freckles are very, very tiny, and hers are just very, very cartoonish. Large, and few freckles. It's not terrible, and it's not a big deal if you don't look at it too close, but it is something to mention. Then lastly, we have the painted hair, which goes from like a red to a darker red, almost a brown. I don't know how I feel about this shading. It's nicely shaded, but is that how it should look? I don't know. I think I would have preferred the standard kind of shading throughout all of the different peaks and valleys rather than the, I guess you could say, bulk shading for the whole head. Okay, so let's go ahead and run the articulation real quick, even though it's really nothing new. The head is on a ball peg, which does allow it to rotate a fair amount. The hair is soft enough that it's okay. It can look up and down a little bit just on top of the ball peg, and then it does have the hinge in there to kind of allow for more, but you're not going to get much out of it other than bringing it forward because the hair will stop it. And what you can see here is that the head is still sitting way too high on that neck. The way they've designed this, I just don't get why they keep doing this. You can see the whole neck peg in there. It's humongous. Can I pop the head off real quick? Let's see. It doesn't want to come off, but it's got a huge gap between the head and the neck, which isn't really ideal. We have the standard swivel hinge for the shoulder. It doesn't have the swivel for the bicep, so it's just your rotation in the torso and then your hinge, which works very nicely. So no problems there other than if you want a bicep swivel. But you do get a swivel out of the elbow, which is just a single joint again. We've seen these arms about a million times, and we have our swivel and hinge. It works just fine. Not too bad for being a single joint. For the wrists, we have a swivel and a hinge, so that's pretty standard. Her hand does have a little bit of a wrinkle in there for like a glove, but it's just skin since it's just molded plastic, so that's a little iffy. Then we have this hand over here, which functions the same, but it is definitely a reused hand. Maybe a little bit weird for MJ, but I guess it's okay. For the torso, we have our single ball peg, but it works really nicely. She's got a really good ab crunch. She can lean side to side a little bit, not too bad. And then, of course, almost full rotation, but it catches because it's elliptical. Is that the right word? I don't know, but it's not a full like circle or sphere in there, so it does catch a little bit as you rotate, but I think it'll be good enough. Now it's worth noting on mine, hopefully you guys can see, the black paint on the upper body is fine, but the lower part of the torso, it's all speckly. It's like they painted it in the rain or something. Does not look good. Very, very off-putting. I'm going to hopefully be able to find another one and see if they all look like that, but that is not great. It is a clean paint job for where it meets the pants though. As for the hips, they go out to the sides really far, so that's nice. You can bring the leg pretty far forward, not all the way, but definitely good enough. We have our thigh swivel, which is nice. We have some nice shading on the jeans, so that's really cool. As far as the knee joint, pretty much a full 180. It's going to take a little bit of wiggling and figuring out which joint to move where, but there you go. You can see pretty much all the way, so that's good. And then for the ankle, it goes all the way back and pretty much all the way forward, and then we have our ankle rocker, but it is pretty loose, so that's not great. But ultimately, it's a really solid pack. If you wanted an MJ figure, now you have one. And if you wanted a good Spider-Man figure, now you have another one. So I'm very happy with it. I think you guys will be too, so I think you should probably go track one down and pick it up. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff, so make sure you turn on that little notification bell so you don't miss any of that. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and in the meantime, keep collecting.